Wolves 32, St Helens 18, as the Wire show guts, character and adaptability to beat St Helens last night at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. Lots to unpack in this one. Let's start with the Warrington Wolves, of course, playing the second half without two halfbacks. That's got to sting the Saints. It really does. They had to move players around left, right and centre. There was dislocated fingers. There was all sorts going on. And Warrington somehow managed to really galvanise in the second half. That first try in the second half was vital. I do believe whoever scored that first try in the second half would probably go on and win it. Fortunately for Wire fans, it was you. I mean, there were some really good tries in here from the Warrington Wolves. Let's give credit to them first and foremost. A big win. The trilogy done. 7 in a row now for Warrington. Let's go first of all Toby King. He did Sambo, didn't he? Unbelievable. But then again, so did Percival on Kingy. Percival even the score on that one, didn't he? As far as Kingy was concerned. But let's go to I think it was one of certainly the better Matty Ashton try. I think it was his first. What a switch. I mean, not since I put the kettle on this morning have I seen a switch as effective as that. Talk about boiling hot. That was an exceptional rugby league from Warrington Wolves. You think it's going to the right-hand side. Then the switch play from Danny Walker goes through hands, beautiful hands, and then in goes Matty Ashton. Absolutely incredible. Ashton's third and hat-trick try. What a bullet ball that was from Ben Curry. Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry will be happy with that bullet coming out the gun. Incredible stuff from Benjamin Curry there. Over it goes to Ashton, in he goes for his hat-trick. Here's a statement for you. Is there a better winger in Super League than Matty Ashton? That's a big debate, isn't it? And one well worth having in the chat. But there's no doubt about it. Ashton is quality. Of course, he will be missing now at Magic Weekend, as will Mark Sneed, George Williams, potentially Toby King. Warrington are going to be a patchwork quilt when it comes to the Wigan Warriors. You Warrington Wolves fans who've got your teams for Magic, all I would say is get your t-shirts, get your hats, get your suntan lotion on, go and have a beer, because one thing's for certain, we're going to lose that one. No doubt about that whatsoever. Warrington Wolves will, I think, come unstuck against Wigan at Magic, but what an occasion it'll be, well worth going. And then, of course, Roderick Ty, what a try, and what a game, actually, from Roderick Ty. But, whoever put that sprinkler on at half-time in that corner, give him a pay rise, Warrington Wolves. How he's got over that line, boy, he slid, did he? But over he went. And that, for me, was the telling try of the game. It really, really was. Great try from Roderick Ty. And of course, Duffy put the cherry on top of the cake. From a Warrington Wolves perspective, was it a scintillating performance? Absolutely not. They're still, as are Saints, as are lots of teams at the moment, just grinding it out a little bit. But hey, they've got the 2 points. They've got that that trilogy for this year. They've gone 7 in a row, and every Warrington Wolves fan will have slept very soundly in the bed last night. Right, let's go to St Helens. Couple of controversial ones. Let's get them out of the way straight away. Tom Grant did not cover himself in glory. When you've got a video ref saying that it's a double knock on, which is basically what he's saying, intentional or not, if it hits, I mean, you could argue every double knock on isn't in time. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He really does need to think about what he's saying on the video ref. If I'm any supporter and that happens against me, I'm filthy. So I get St Helens' frustration with regards to that Matty Ashton try. Then, of course, you've got the Percival one. Again, contentious, absolutely contentious. Do I think the call of no try was right? Possibly. I think, it did appear that his foot had gone out. However, was it a penalty to Saints at worst? Yes. Was it a penalty try to Saints at best? That, of course, would be a yes if you're a Saints fan, no if you're a Warrington fan, and the neutrals will probably be split 50-50. There's no doubt about it. Ashton does appear to get the shirt. Tom Grant said it was a fair contest. I'm not so sure about that. And I get why St Helens will be very disappointed in those two decisions. No question. I'm absolutely with you 100%. However, there can't be a single St Helens fan who believe they deserve to win that game. I mean, how it was 16-14 at half-time, I mean, I do not know. Warrington, were in the box seat. They really, really was. And then, of course, the error from kickoff. Every error, and you've got to give credit to St Helens, every error that Warrington did, dropping the ball in their own, red zone, not catching kickoffs, etc. They punished. And that is, again, as St Helens fans, fair play on that one. Great effort. They punished Warrington. The problem was second half, Warrington really did galvanise. It was an incredible performance, this from the Warrington Wolves in the second half. To be right bang up against it like that, moving players out of position, and come up with a win. At half-time, I don't think there was a single fan in that ground of Warrington Wolves who believed at 16-14, Sneed off the field, that they were going to win it. I thought, that was a momentum shift to St. Helens. And, in years gone by, St. Helens would have given Warrington it down the river in the second half, but not at the moment. What am I making of St. Helens? Right, let's get into St. Helens. First of all, Paul Wellens. There's a part of me that feels really sorry for Paul Wellens, and it does. We've been hearing chants from the terraces now at Saints for many. We need to put Sailor at fullback, so he does that. It's not worked, but he did that. We need to put Whitby at the halves. He did that. Now we want Lomax back. And don't get me wrong, I think Lomax should have played yesterday. Tristan Sailor shouldn't be playing. But here's the thing, St. Helens fans. Here is the thing, okay? Last year, you had a lot of injuries, and he still managed to get you very, very close to a semi-final in Super League. Let's say that straight away. This season, a couple of key injuries in key places, early doors. Let's accept that, okay? Certainly in your three-quarter line. Okay, who bought Tristan Sailor? This is what I'm not getting. Who bought him? My understanding is Mike Rush is the head of recruitment. The purchase of Tristan Sailor has really upset the apple cart on the field for me, where Saints are concerned. Because quite frankly, what I'm seeing, he is not a St. Helens player. Let's consider, this is St. Helens, okay? Love him or hate him. This is St. Helens. And is Tristan Sailor a St. Helens player? I don't think he is. But the problem is this. He's marquee money. He's on a 3-year contract. He's been brought in by the boss upstairs. Can you imagine Paul Wellens putting him in the stand? I'm telling you now, you know what? I've been around the game long enough to know this. I've been in business long enough to know this. I don't think that Paul Wellens has got the authority to drop Tristan Sailor. I've said it. So he's got to keep him in the side. And by putting him in the side at fullback, which is perhaps his best position, but it's still only 50% of what Jack Welsby can do there. And Welsby last night was 40% diluted, minimum, because we're trying to accommodate Tristan Sailor in St. Helens. Whoever made that decision to bring Sailor in, why aren't they getting some flack? There's one thing that you can't say about Paul Wellens, and that is that he doesn't bleed the Rd9. He does. And yet, now here's another legend of the club that, for me, is the manner of which he's being criticised, I find a bit distasteful. Let's have a bit of class. Let's respect a man who gives his all. There's no doubt about it. Paul Wellens is giving his all for that club. Might not be coming off, but he's giving his all for that club. And I believe that club legends deserve a degree of respect right even now, when it would appear he potentially is in his final hours as a St. Helens coach. I don't think that's acceptable. Paul Wellens, he's not knocking the ball on. Paul Wellens, he's not a part of the leadership group on the field. We saw what Warrington's leadership group did last night. That's leadership. Love or hate Warrington. That's leadership. That's what it's about. Your backs are against the wall, and the likes of Sam Powell, Danny Walker, Ben Curry step up and say, right, yes, we might be up against it, but we're going to get this job done. St. Helens have got exactly the same in theirs. But the difference between Warrington's leadership group and St. Helens' leadership group is that the St. Helens' leadership group have won trophies. They know what it is to win trophies. They should be doing better for the coach. They should be doing better for the supporters. And all these supporters are saying, I'm not going away. Well, look at Salford, look at Huddersfield, look at these other clubs who don't get wins, who haven't got silverware, and their supporters, through thick and thin, go and do the away travel. I saw one comment today. You've just lost 1,500 fans travelling away. Are they fans? I'm just going to say it. True supporters through thick and thin stick with your club. I know it's 1% of you. I know it's the keyboard warriors, but they need to rein it in. And you at St. Helens need to police that. Not, don't turn a blind eye to that. You're better than that. Police that. It's unacceptable. You absolutely should be backing your team through thick and thin. They're still above Warrington in the table, for crying out loud. There's a clutch of teams in Super League at the moment. Warrington are one, Catalans are another, Leeds are another, Saints is another. You could argue, even Lee are up and down a little bit. I think they'll finish in the top 6, but even Lee are a bit all over the place. And this man's getting criticism left, right, and centre. And you can wear your colours and have a bit of a joke about it. But the bottom line is, this guy bleeds Rugby, and I don't believe he's getting the respect that he deserves. And here's the thing. On the field, like I say, he can handle knock-ons. He can handle forward passes, stupid plays like what we saw from Simonin. That's out of his control. What is in his control is to turn to take Percival from left centre to right. That's in his control. That's a decision he made on the day, and it paid dividends. Paid dividends for him. He's not going to get any praise for that because you lost. But as a coach, that's something you can do. Switch it up, move players around. What I don't think he can do is drop Tristan Saylor. And that is a big, big problem for St Helens this season that I don't think is going to go away, because you've got better players, not on marquee money, that can play in the positions that Saylor can play and better. You don't bring in a player like Tristan Saylor on that money when you've already got players who play his position better at your club. You strengthen, dare I say it, your front row, because Alex Walmsley's time is coming to an end. That's what you do. So for me, forget Paul Wellens. Who's handling your recruitment and selection? Who's doing that? Your retention policies, your contracts. Because if you're going to throw Wellens out with the backwater, ladies and gentlemen, what about Kieran Rush? That's what I'm saying. I'm not a St Helens fan. I'm a rugby league fan. And I'm also a decent human being. It's unacceptable what's going on. Paul Wellens, love him or hate him, as a player, as a coach, deserves respect for what he has done at the Totally Wicked Stadium in his career. That's what it's all about. Yes, I'm shooting. Look, you'd have thought today I'm basking in the glory of it. Not at all. Not at all. Have a bit of class. It's not about how you win. It's also about how you lose. I am not going big time on 7. I mean, look, Warrington Wolves fans basking in the glory of 7, and why not? But let's not forget, St Helens in the pomp with 13, 14, 15 in a row against St Helens. Warrington haven't won anything by beating St Helens 3 times. It's nice. It tastes good. And you know, Warrington fans will enjoy it. Of course they will. But the bottom line is here, Wellens deserves better. That is not the way to treat a club legend. And if he is going to bow out, allow it to be with dignity. Allow it to be with dignity. This guy deserves to be able to come back to the Totally Wicked Stadium and be revered. No doubt about it. He will leave St Helens as a coach. Every coach does. And at this moment, it's under a bit of a cloud. But he deserves to come back, knowing he can come back and be revered. Not come back feeling a little bit tarnished in what he's done. It's very rare that they're doing in the sheds like this, but I think it's right and I think it's appropriate. St Helens at the moment are in a clutch of teams that are possibly going to be fighting it out for 6th place, 7th, 5th and 6th. That's the reality. And Saints could still finish 6th with Wellens at the helm. Got to take a long hard look at yourselves, guys. It's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable to treat a club legend like that, regardless of what's going on the field. You know, you supporters have been telling him what to do. You know, the keyboard warriors, put Saylor at fullback, bring Whitby in, drop Lomax. And now same supporters now say, no, actually drop Saylor, put Wellesby at fullback, which he should never have left, and bring Lomax back. Not very easy, this coaching malarkey, is it? Take a long hard look at yourselves. Not a great game. Not a great game at all. You know, I think both teams, you know, the quality of the rugby, some of the tries were sparkling. You know, some of the tries were sparkling. And I get some of the calls were bad from Tom Grant. I get that. But Warrington were the better team and Warrington deserved to win. No doubt about that whatsoever. So, you know, I think it's a moment of reflection here, not only for the players. I mean, by all means, go and see the full post-match press conferences on our website, www.superleagueraw.com. Not 2 minutes, not 2 minutes of sensationalism, not 2 minutes of narrative, the full 12-minute press conference of Paul Wellens and the full 9-minute press conference of Sam Burgess. Go and watch the whole thing. Go and see the hurt in Paul Wellens. Go and see him choke up when he pats the badge when he answers my question. And then ask yourself the question, Saints fans: is that what that man deserves? I was going in there to ask him a completely different question, but based on the questions that he'd already answered and what I could see, I felt it was appropriate to change my questioning. Felt for the man, I have to say. Felt for the man. Anyway, let's move on to the 3-2-1. I've had my say. 1 point has to go to Mark Percival. I say it all the time. Mark Percival is perhaps St Helens' best player. His attacking play is incredible. Could have had a hat-trick. You know, set up 2, scored 2 tries. Can't be faulted. Mark Percival, incredible. But he was only the best player on the St Helens side because of the switch, which Paul Wellens did. 1 point goes to Mark Percival. 2 points has to go to Matty Ashton. Great hat-trick. Brilliant hat-trick. You know, not Matty Ashton's fault what went on with Toby King. His job is to put the ball over the line. Again, 2 sensational dives in the corner. Is he the best winger in Super League? You decide. And 3 points goes to Roderick Tai. What a performance in a game like this. You know, it's not necessarily about stats. It's about what your eyes see. His shots came at key moments in the game. He laid a defensive platform for the Warrington Wolves. I said on Captain's Run with Steph that I felt the right edge of the Warrington Wolves potentially was a big problem for the Wire last night. I genuinely believe that. I felt that right edge of defence could be susceptible. And don't get and let's be absolutely fair, it was the most robust side for Warrington last night. And it was because Roderick Tai laid a platform. Was that a reason why they moved Percival as well? Because they were thinking, we're not going to get much joy. Not only was defensively a problem for Saints on that side, but also the way Tai started the game, was it a case of not only will we show the defence up, but also will we be better in attacking phases? Because Tai's on, and he was on. And some of the shots he put on were absolute bone crunchers. Incredible stuff. Really, really good indeed. Forget groundsmen. Bone collectors were put on that field last night after the game. Unbelievable tackling from Roderick Tai. And of course, took his try very well. I mean, let's be fair, on the run, it wasn't the greatest pass from Fury. It's lovely break down the right-hand side from the Warrington Wolves. But it was a great pass. You know, he had to virtually get that one off the floor, hence why he was stooping down and why he had to slide. I think, you know, almost, that's good. That's good. And like I said to Sam Burgess, you know, let's be fair here. Lindop, he's not a cakewalk back into that side. If Roderick Tai continues to play like that, he could be unmistakable. Different tone to this in the Sheds, and I don't apologise for that. Some really, really nice tries. One for the purist, battling game. Warrington take 3 in a row, a hat-trick this season. They take the 7 in a row. And for St Helens, a lot of head scratching. And perhaps we've seen the last of Paul Wellens. That's in the Sheds. Warrington Wolves getting the job done, 32 points to 18. We'll be back with more later in the weekend.